Hey, we still on this weekend for a little?
You know it. I'm in desperate need of some.
What about you, Jim?
No, my sister's getting the wedding. She's getting married, so.
When adventure calls, make sure you're ready to answer. Stable 360 ethanol treatment is specifically formulated for year-round use, so your engines will be ready when you are. Ready, willing, stable.
The next generation of auto detailing is here, where simplicity meets performance. 303 graphene nanospray coating. Get a year of protection from a powerful graphene oxide formula. A formula that sends water flying off surfaces, keeping water spots at bay. Go beyond wax, beyond ceramic. Graphene nanospray coating from 303.
What's up, everybody? JR here from FCP Euro. Summer is the time for car shows, road trips, track days, and so much more. And the FCP Euro Summer Sale is here to help. Use the code HEATWAVE to get $10 off an order of $125 or more, $20 off an order of $250 or more, or $50 off an order of $500 or more. Head to coupons.fcpro.com to shop the sale, and thank you for your support.
The Falken Azenas RT660 is the enthusiast choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenas RT660.
Welcome everybody to Grid Life Live. I'm Abram Schmucker, joined by my co-host for the weekend, Adam Nielsen. It's Sunday morning at Autobahn Country Club, and we got some dry weather today.
It looks like it. The weather forecast is a lot more favorable for us today.
So yesterday we kind of battled with some extreme weather for the remainder of the day. We were on in the morning, of course. But the track was basically flooded for the entirety of the afternoon, impassable for GLTC and Time Attack especially. And so now we're seeing shots of the track, which things clearing up quite a bit, but things still damp a little bit. We've got Time Attack A group out on track, and drivers are getting close to dry times, but not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Jackie Ding and Alex Moss are running in the low 130s. With a street mod record to beat, I think, somewhere in the 27s.
Yep.
So about 5 seconds off pace for sure. But I would imagine that the second session of the day will probably be fast as the track continues to dry.
Yeah, there's still some flowing water coming out across the track in places, so it's hard to say if this is really going to be a fully dry, ready-to-race track this weekend or not.
Well, we looked at the forecast, and things seem to indicate that it's going to stay dry.
Yeah.
And so with cars continuing to run, you'd hope that the kind of the weeping surface begins to dry out.
That would be nice.
Jackie Ding is on track with an adjusted rear aerodynamic wing. I think he redesigned the chassis mount for the Swan Neck with his partner Veris Engineering. That car continues to be at the extreme pointy end of the street modified class with Alex Moss chasing behind.
Yeah.
Interesting, in Alex Moss's car, they updated the transmission before this weekend, updated some firmware, and he says that the drivability both on track and in the street, in street trim in his DCTS 2000, is better across the board.
They also made a change. Apparently, BMW essentially makes two different versions of that transmission, a longer and a shorter ratio trans. And being that this is kind of a shorter track with not a lot of really long straightaways, they've switched to the short ratio transmission. And from what I saw, that gives them a top speed of 135, which is kind of low, I would think.
It is kind of low.
But I mean, I'm sure that they've done the math and they know what they're doing.
So a big difference between Jackie Ding's car and Alex Moss's car is the amount of horsepower that each car makes.
Yep.
Of course, Alex's car is lighter, it's older. However, I think Alex is running his car right at around 420 wheel horsepower, and to my knowledge, Jackie is at least 100 horsepower above that. But he's also carrying much more weight in the car compared to Alex.
Yeah.
I would say that in terms of aerodynamic performance, they're probably both on the extreme end of the street modified run groups.
Absolutely.
So we got some drone footage here, again showing the surface being a little bit wet. We've got times in for several drivers. Jackie Ding with a 132.244. Ryan Matthews with also in street modified with a 136.8. Alex Moss with a 137.2. Alex Westergaard in street mod with a 139.9. So I imagine that things will continue to improve here for the remainder of the session and throughout the day. A battle that I've been wanting to follow since yesterday is in Club TR between Ryan Seiler in his S2000 and Dana Mazinski in his K24 swap BRZ.
Right. Ryan seems to have an early lead on that one, a 141.867.
So in street class, Tony Barber in his Tesla Model 3 just ran a 141.926. And Cal Fortner continuing to work on his supercharged V8 S4, which is probably the loudest car on track. With a 142.7. Now, I got a chance to walk by the Banana Power car, but I did not see who was driving.
Yeah, I'm not sure who's driving it either. I don't think it's a car we've seen in the past, but it looks to be a pretty well-prepared car.
It does. Shout out to our friends at Professional Awesome Racing. I saw some PA stickers on that car, which means that it has the potential to be quick.
Right. They've definitely gone to the right people.
So a little bit of sunshine here, continuing to dry out the track for sure. It's a little bright here in the production booth, I'd say. There's a shot of Dana in his BRZ.
Dana just put in a 141.369, moving him into first in Club TR.
Ooh, boy.
Very, very, very tight, though.
It's interesting how, with a completely different layout, the lap times for this track seem to be very similar in Club TR to what we saw at Gingerman a few weeks ago. But, Ben Thorne just did a 140.5. That puts him in the lead in Club TR.
I know yesterday he was struggling a little bit and had to pull off track early in the one session that we were able to get in, so I'm sure he was not happy with what performance he had for yesterday, and he seems to be the early front runner in the class.
So a bit of trivia for the battle between Jackie Ding and Alex Moss. I did find out that Alex has been using not the limit of tire available in the street mod class. He's been under-tired for the entirety of the year.
Oh, really?
And in the trailer is a set of Nankang 285s.
Oh.
So they don't have the right wheels to run them on this weekend, but we're hoping to see at the next event what that car can do with the additional tire underneath.
This was the killer corner yesterday that when I talked to some friends, that was unbelievably slippery.
So Jackie Ding messaged me this morning to give me a little bit of talking points for the session. He said the Supra is doing well. Yesterday, kind of a technical glitch in the car led to a check engine light flashing suddenly. But the car's recovered, very confident that it's going to be able to be driven hard this weekend. He's also driving a Tesla Model 3. He said it's essentially bone stock and it accelerates quicker than it slows down. It the brakes, he was running a stock pad and using max regen to get additional braking. He said the pads cooked themselves in 2 laps, which isn't great, and the brake vectoring on the car is working really hard. For the remainder of the weekend, they've got new pads, they changed fluid, and potentially running AO52s today. He said the Tesla rotates remarkably well, and the regen acts basically as a trail brake, so the car turns in better than you expect a 4,400-pound car to do. In the PhD fleet, they also have a Porsche GT3. Alex didn't really drive yesterday. He said that the GT3 was parked because of the downpour, but it's on the new Nankang AR1s, and they've done some engineering with Veris and Dundon Motorsports to develop additional aero, and their goal for the weekend is a track mod podium with that car. So lofty goals. That team has a really busy schedule for the remainder of the year. I think they're probably doing more events than anyone in the country.
Yeah. Not a lot of track mod cars here this weekend.
No.
So.
Additional drivers, Alex Arteat in Street GT running a 140.6, chasing Chris Bickford with a 137.7. Really just a little bit off pace. Things seem to be warming up this session with, I imagine, with drivers in the kind of the wet-ish conditions yesterday. This is the first chance that they really get to start working on pushing the braking zones and finding that additional time.
Seems to be something loose underneath that yellow Toyobaru there. Something flapping in the breeze. So I don't know if that's the result of an off or something just came loose. But
so this is, I think, basically the fastest part of the track there. Straightaway is not particularly long on this surface.
No. Seems that series of corners there better than yesterday.
Definitely.
We kind of wondered amongst us if there had maybe been a recent oil spill there that the water or that the rain had made worse.
Sure.
Because of just how unbelievably slippery it was.
So we've got Babar Fez in Club TR. That's the Banana Power car.
Yes.
I hope that he's running the HP Tuners app so that we can get a little additional data.
I encouraged a few of my friends to try and start using it a little more. It was really cool to see what information we were able to get on those guys at Gingerman.
But a really clean looking car. I imagine that this setup, if continued to dial in, could be really quick in Club TR. It's interesting to see how quickly that class has grown and the level of competition that exists already in cars that are designed to be track day cars to be driven lap after lap. So Jackie out on another hot lap, it looks like.
Yeah.
Typically he only does one, but we're kind of at the end of the session here. I expect that he did his hot lap, came into the pits, made some adjustments, waited for things to cool down a little bit, and then made another go.
What an awesome looking car.
It's, I mean, it's special.
Yeah.
Very, very fast. I rode in it actually at Pikes Peak International last year, and it's got a freight train feel to it. It's really a force.
Watching him charge down the back straight at Circuit of the Americas earlier this year, the car makes the jam for sure.
Lots of it.
Yeah.
And you know, it's been exciting to see Jackie kind of grow and mature in our series as well. When he was first coming to our events, he showed up with an S2000 and like barely modified at all, and he was carrying around the set of tires that he needed in the car with him to events.
Yeah.
And the program has grown and grown, and they've kind of taken a passion project and turned it into a real business. And so now the PhD team shows up to race events with half dozen to a dozen cars.
Yeah.
And it's exciting to see what they've really done. Jackie coming across the start finish with a 129.7, getting really close to that street mod record. I imagine if the weather holds, we should see that record fall by the next session. So Alex Moss, I think with a weekend best 133, Alex will be the first to admit that they're chasing Jackie this year with the changes they've made in the transmission swap and all of those things. They feel a little bit on the back foot relative to Jackie's performance, where the car is basically dialed in now, and it's just fine-tuning a few things at each event to make sure that they get all the speed available.
They're the reigning Street Mod champ from last year, correct?
Alex Moss is, yep.
Right.
So something interesting about the Street Mod class is that championship's never been repeated. It is, I don't want to say a revolving door, but it's really hard to stay on top with new drivers coming into the series and refining and building these cars that are extraordinary.
It's certainly the most competitive class. Well, maybe that or street.
It might be. I think it's a really nice balance between, or it depends very heavily on you know, being able to build and to drive. And you know, as you move down from unlimited into the lower and lower classes, the number of design constraints increase.
Right.
And so to build cars that are street drivable, that are also extraordinarily fast, is really impressive to me. Alex Moss and his co-driver Andy Smedegaard finished second in the 2021 One Lap of America, which is an extraordinary event. It's grueling, and it is a real challenge for modified cars to compete and do well.
Yeah.
So Alex's car running that well for an entire week on the racetrack and on the highway, I think is a testament to what street mod cars can do.
The car is certainly the most extreme as compared to its factory form.
No, most certainly.
Of any car that was there this year.
Because I think even Jackie would say that the modifications on his car, other than the aerodynamic performance, a lot of the modifications are off-the-shelf bolt-on parts. Whereas if you consider what Alex's car is, it is much more of a Frankenstein car that has been built for this series.
I saw yesterday that Alex Moss and his car got a little bit of kind of big publication time with the drive and their new site Car Bibles. There was an article put out about Super K.
Interesting. I didn't see that. I'll have to check it out
yesterday. So cool to see, you know, friends and GRIDLIFE drivers getting some, you know, a little bit bigger, larger reaching.
Absolutely. And I saw that Jackie and Dewey DeWitt and also Tiffany Kelly were cast in a Discovery television show that airs next month.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to see what's going to happen with those, because I haven't heard anything about it.
Yeah, I knew that there were some people that we knew that were in it, but I didn't know exactly who, and I didn't know exactly what it is. So it'll be interesting. I know that they were calling the S2K, the Tarmac Rally S2K, or something like that. Jackie was really excited to get that car put back together, and he wouldn't say what it was for, but I guess it was for that series. So that airs next month in July. I'll be watching. Yeah, absolutely.
So it looks like we're probably checkering here, track clearing out, waiting for Time Attack B to roll out. So any bets on whether I expect that Jackie will break the record.
Okay.
By how much do you think Jackie will break the record?
I don't know. You know, track's pretty fresh now. There's still some wet spots. I don't think it's going to be a lot.
I know that the record's held by Sean Krebsbach in his Evo 9. Very fast, fast driver, and usually gets it done in very few number of laps in a given weekend. He just kind of waits to get the car dialed in, and then kind of goes for it that one time and runs a fantastic lap. So we'll see if Jackie's able to improve. And Sean, I think, is going through a rebuild in his car right now. We're looking forward to seeing Sean again. He's always a high performer when he comes to our series.
If I remember correctly, he shaved a pretty significant time off of the record last year.
I think that's right.
I think there was a huge amount of development for those guys from
I
one
feel
year
like
to
we
the
say
next.
it every year, especially in the
Right.
Street Mod group, where you just don't know if the cars can get any faster.
Yeah,
Every
but
year
I think
it's a
that
few seconds.
we've seen like people dropping like 3 or 4 seconds in records each year, and now I think we're getting to the point where in development where a half a second is going to be a pretty big achievement.
Agreed.
So
And I think too, in the last 5 years, the tire technology has helped
yeah,
with
absolutely.
breaking those records. And it may be that we don't see improvements like that because the amount of tire performance needed to go that much faster is just too much.
Right.
What is interesting in, let's say, Street Mod times at Gingerman is the gap between Street Mod and Track Mod, I think. The separation between the fronts of those classes is getting smaller. But we're missing Ferris Khartoumi this weekend as well, who is notoriously fast.
Yes.
Especially here. And I would fully expect that he's, I guess, now an unlimited car, having run this track this weekend in his configuration. It's possible that he could have beaten Andy's record that stood from, I think, 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. I think the first year I came here would have been 3 years ago that Andy was here with that.
I have to double check my numbers, but I think it was a 22 on South Course, which is quick.
Yeah. I know Redline Time Attack, the now gone sanctioning body, they used to run here as well. And so if I remember right, there were some...
So we've got Brad Riemann in the Focus RS here on track, out for his warm-up lap. Driver with, I think, a limited modification car.
Yeah.
Looks unassuming.
Right.
Should be running
Street
the
class.
HP Tuners app in street class. Let's try and
There we
pick up
go.
the record for street class. So things still warming up here. Let's give it just a minute for him to come around on his hot lap.
Street class record held by Austin Hurdle, who's here this weekend but in GLTC trim. His record at 132.125.
It's pretty quick.
Yes, absolutely.
So overall track record here, 122.949. That was set in 2018 by Andy Smedgard. Actually, Andy holds all the records on all track configurations here.
Yeah.
So some of those records will stand for a while as we continue to focus exclusively on the South Course
Yeah.
during the events.
Focus RS is a neat car you just don't see that much of on track yet.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement around
Ton of excitement around that car.
the launch of that car, but we haven't seen him out on track that often.
No.
There may be 1 or 2 at any one event. I'll be honest, I wish I knew my corners number better on this track.
I don't know them that well. And yesterday my internet was so terrible I couldn't even get a track map to load.
Looks like, so it looks like Brad on the back straight there, kind of at the peak speed for that car. Tori Skursky out on track with his daily driver BMW for another year. So here we've got a track map showing, I think it's 15 corners. Yep. So drivers make their way kind of around this 180-degree set of turns, going through corner number 4, which I think is the $1 million corner.
I believe so.
The famously
yes.
named. Very tricky spot on track where if you lose control of a car, it's a good place to lose one. I feel like driving this configuration, it always feels a little bit disjointed to me, where it's just kind of a bunch of corners stacked together, and it doesn't have the same kind of flow that the North Course does. But This configuration is kind of well known for time attack, and it's the track that I think people care the most about.
It's certainly the more popular of the two courses.
Certainly. The full course, which is the combination of both north and south, is an interesting circuit because of its combined length, where fast laps are, let's see, the track record in full course is 2:23.5, which kind of makes its length even longer than, lap length even longer than Road America.
Yeah.
And so for time attack cars, it's running at speed for that long is a pretty big stressor on the car.
We got a car off course there, so
we got
caution on the track. Cody Smith on screen. Probably one of my favorite cars here this weekend.
digging it.
Yeah.
So have you had a chance to talk with him much about the build of that car?
I did through private message for a while.
What do you know about the car?
It still runs the original Buick engine, although it's built up, which is cool because I assumed, as most people probably would, that it had been LS swapped because that's just kind of what you do.
What people would do.
So I'm glad to see that that's not what he's done with it. Or Oldsmobile, sorry, not Buick, Oldsmobile. It has the original Olds engine in it. Lots of work done to the suspension.
Right.
And he's done lots of work boxing in the frame and trying to stiffen it up so that the car doesn't have as much twist in corners. I can tell you, GM of that era, those cars were real bad about tweaking back and forth.
Noodly?
Yeah, very noodly. And so he spent a lot of time focused on that. He's got a really, really well put together build thread on the Grassroots Motorsports forum.
Okay.
For anybody who's really interested in diving into his build.
So best time recorded for Cody is a 1:45.7. Predicted on this lap is a 1:46.2. So it looks like he's off pace here, though, cooling down.
I think we've got. Oh, he's pulling off course. This is not good. Mechanical issue.
So I think that's Patrick Morgan in the Team Stradale Sunday Cup Spec Fit. Having the best time.
Yeah.
I think everyone
They
who's
have
driving a Sunday Cup car is
shop
having the best
here
time.
On site.
Looks like
Team
we've got a car
Stradale.
stopped on track as well.
Yeah, in the middle of the back straight there.
I'm looking at that. That could be Michael Olmec, but I only saw the car for a second. So I saw him pull up this morning.
Yeah.
Checked in and got a transponder. So one of our, perennial front runners in the street modified class.
Yep, Michael Olmec.
So I would expect things to slow down here quite a bit as that car. We've got a couple cars now parked on track.
Cody seems to be back on the move, which is good.
Probably had to turn it off and turn it back on.
We walked some of this course yesterday, and I can tell you the grass is very spongy.
Is it?
And I would say that it is a very real possibility if you went off in the wrong place that you'd be stuck in the mud, man, pretty quickly. So drivers certainly are going to need to keep that in mind today when they're starting to push the limits.
Yeah, unless you're kind of out trudging around here in the grass in the paddock, you might not even know that.
Yeah, it's brutal out there.
So Chong Laura, I think, is running a street class Civic Type R. Love, love, love those cars.
It's probably going to be the flag on this session as well now with some cleanup.
So Mikey Sinasini is running Club TR as well. This is kind of a long-time GRIDLIFE buddy. Been around forever and is one of the favored Honda tuners within the the Chicago Honda community. He's running an Integra that I heard once it gets dialed in is going to be remarkably quick in Club TR.
Yeah, that would be great.
He previously ran an Acura RSX famously put down a really fast time
Incredible time.
at Gingerman a few years ago on a stock or on an NA Honda motor, and I've heard that that car has the potential to be faster.
That would be awesome.
It would be awesome.
That would be crazy, because that lap time really stood out to me. I remember when that happened.
Well, it you know, sometimes certainly there are faster laps being set at a track like Gingerman, but there are certain laps that stand out as just being, you know, like a masterclass in great driving. We saw, I think, if anyone watching hasn't seen Jackie Ding's video in his NAS 2000 running a sub 40, I can't remember the exact time, but it was a fantastic lap where, you know, the car's kind of dancing on edge the entire lap. It would be hard to say if there was any time left on the table. And as we configured the Club TR class and what we wanted it to be, that was kind of a North Star for me, especially, to say, well, I want drivers to have to drive like this, you know, to be at the front, and I want the focus to be on extraordinary driving and a little bit less on the you know, building that perfect mousetrap.
One thing that I think would be cool is if the GRIDLIFE community kind of celebrated some of those fast laps that are in cars that maybe weren't built to be at the pointy edge. If I remember right, I think Mikey's car ended up in street mod because at the time engine swaps weren't allowed in street class.
Correct.
And so that lap would have been a street class record today because I think the car fit in it. Now the engine swaps are allowed,
right,
but at the time it didn't. But at the time it was still a really impressive and incredible lap for a naturally aspirated
Absolutely.
RSX.
I think the time set was a 38.0, and I just looked, the record that was of interest for Jackie in his S2000 edition was also a 38.0.
Yeah, and you know, it would be cool to see things like that. You know, even though it's not an overall class record, that if the community would celebrate that stuff and you know,
well, for anyone who's
way.
watching the stream and interested in getting involved in GRIDLIFE, one of the best things to do to kind of promote that kind of celebration is to document it to the best of their ability.
Yeah.
Jackie, we keep referencing Jackie's accomplishments partially because we can refer to them.
Right.
And having
relatively prolific on YouTube.
Absolutely. So. And on occasion will, at my request, publish his lap videos also with the data overlays, which is a little additional work for him. But I think it really shows the amount of performance that he's getting out of a car that is not so extreme, but is remarkably fast.
Mm-hmm.
Here we've got some drone shots showing the river in the middle of the track here. Not used to seeing that. Normally it's about 10,000 degrees here on the out in Joliet in the summer. Rainy day yesterday kind of cooled things off a little bit.
And usually this event I often compare to the surface of the sun.
Correct. Yeah.
Which is made worse by this completely black paddock.
Oh yeah.
So it's always brutal here.
But a little bit of cloud cover right now. No direct sunshine, which will probably delay the surface baking out. But
yeah, it's really too bad that we had the rain, because had it not rained, this would be ideal or better circumstances to set records.
Of course, had it not rained, it would probably be 10,000 degrees.
Well,
so
that's fair.
We would be complaining about it being too hot
yeah,
for time.
well, I mean, we can never be happy.
Correct.
So.
Time attack is hugely dependent on fluctuations in weather.
On things you cannot control.
Correct. So 350Z out on track, warming up. I think Alex Lee is rolling out in the Porsche GT3 in this session. Didn't do much driving yesterday, so probably running in C just to get things warmed up. All right, we're going to follow along with Ivan as he warms up and is going to try and make an attempt on a lap here as he rolls around the start finish. Very, very consistent performing car in the 350 or the 370s. We see a lot of them on track. They turn a lot of laps. Rewarding car to drive, I think. I don't know if you saw during GLTC yesterday, Andy Smedegaard had a kind of a beautiful drift between 14 and 15 on his way to start finish, going through the puddles. Really impressive in the rain yesterday. So Ivan, another Chicagoland competitor from Schaumburg, driving a 2016 Nissan 370Z. Do you know the differences between the 350s and the 370s?
I think chassis are surprisingly similar, but not exactly the same. The biggest difference being that the 350Z is the 3.5 liter, the 370Z is 3.7.
Okay. So just a little bit of additional power?
Pretty decent bump in power.
Gotcha. Well, I know that Nissan has kind of made a living on letting chassis live for a million years.
Too long.
Yep. So.
Yeah, I'm excited for the 400Z just because that means that we're getting something new from them.
Right.
I mean, it looks like a really great car, but it's very much time to replace the 370.
So the 370, Ivan chasing a little bit. I think that's an S2000 on track. Maybe not. Yep. Who is
Lots of S2000s here this weekend.
Who is car number 334? That is, let's see full names here. Jim Smithaline. It could be Smithalini.
Yeah, that's one of those names you try and stay away from.
Two cars running kind of really comparable lap times. Let's see, where's Ivan on the timesheets? 148.9 with Mikey now running a 144.8. Little ways to go to catch up to the front of Club TR, which I think Ben had run a 139.
Yeah, Jim just improving his time significantly there with a 142, 142.6. Big jump for him.
Keenan Prusank just ran a 139.438. One of the tricky bits of using some of our online lap trackers is it's hard to tell the difference between street mod and street in the app because, well, they look the same because they're abbreviated.
Time to change the class name,
I guess. You know, we should probably just refer to them by their acronyms. Of course, every class has the acronym.
Right.
That corner, which was kind of famous yesterday for a number of spins, inducing a number of spins on cars, appears to be drying out completely, which is exciting. Drivers will have more confidence as they make their way through that corner.
Great looking Fox body. Not the Fox body we see at most GRIDLIFE events. Hopefully we see more of, because, I mean, anytime we can get more 80s American metal out here, that's a win.
Is it?
Absolutely.
So Brad Riemann, who we were focusing on previously during the session, running a 146.990. Lisa Keys improving a little red, 145.383. And Grant Davidson in his K24 swap Acura Integra running a 143.201. I don't know how much time and experience Grant has here, but he ran very quick at Gingerman, was a podium finisher in an all K24 podium, which was kind of neat. But I'm sure that there will be new cars and new builds showing up in that class to kind of buck the trend of K-swapping a Honda something.
Yeah.
But the case to be made for Honda K-swaps is really good. Engines are cheap, and they're reliable, and they make good power. So
they fit into so many things.
Seem to.
Yeah. Very tall engine.
Bit, yeah. So looks like things. Oh, Patrick. Who's that? Who's driving the Hard Times Fit? So our favorite Iowa man, Dalton Klein, running a 148.9 in his Camaro. I'll be honest, that's just not fast enough.
No, it's not fast enough, and I tell him that basically after every session. What I am proud of is that today he did remember his transponder.
Smart.
So yesterday he did not. And because GRIDLIFE has the most incredible timing team on the planet, he did get a time that was hand-timed.
Enough to put him in an okay spot in the run order.
And it did actually seem like they hand-timed his fastest lap anyway, based on his data. So that was good. And it was pretty close even.
Shout out to Kevin and Jason and my wife Ashley and the timing team. Extraordinary work at every event. Lots of stuff going on with the run of show here at GRIDLIFE between Time Attack, Drift, and GLTC. You'd be surprised at the amount of controlled chaos that exists right at that transition between GLTC and Time Attack. It's a stressful time to be in there if your intent is to be 100% perfect. With that, we're going to make the change over to GLTC. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and you will see us back at Time Attack here in, I think, the afternoon. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned.
Morning, everybody. Usually I have a paragraph-long intro that covers where we are and why we're here, but we've been waiting long enough to race at GRIDLIFE Chicago in 2021. My name is Kyle Heyer alongside DJ Alessandrini. I'm tired of waiting for racing, so I'm not going to bore anybody with all the details, but we are at Autobahn Country Club, a 2.1-mile racetrack in Joliet, Illinois. DJ completely rained out yesterday. We will have 3 races today instead of 4. It all begins now with race number 1. Got 40 cars on the grid, and we're ready to go racing.
Good things come to those who wait, and we've waited long enough. So, I mean, if that saying rings true, then we should have some good things in order here. You got Tom O'Gorman leading the field with his ASM teammate. That's a Time Attack car as the pace car. It's 3 ASM cars right in the front, man. That's they're going to screenshot that. That's going to be hanging in their office.
They certainly are going to have that hanging in the office. Let's go over the starting lineup for today's race. On row number 1, Tom O'Gorman in the number 94 Honda S2000. His teammate Andy Smedgard is in second.
Second row, we have Emil Tabb and Aaron Lichty.
In row number 3, it's Jeremy Swenson and Eric Cattell.
Fourth row is Brian Highcotter and Joel Morrison.
Row number 5, Louis Chatroop in the number 26 and Justin Kelly in the 86.
And row number 6 is Aramis Karasas and Tiffany Kelly.
Scott Robertson starts 13th alongside Austin Hurdle in the number 34.
And the next row is Justin Lee and Chris Adams.
Ryan Upham, Matan Rosenberg share row number 9. Kerry James, Jake Jorenstad, row 10. This is Patrick Reyes, Justin Barty, Gary Wimble, Jake Price. Zach Lovoy, another ASM driver, followed by Seth Gale. Myers in the 404. Then Gonzalez, Ortiz, and McGee were the only 30 drivers that made qualifying laps, qualifying wet to dry conditions yesterday. DJ, the track might still be a little damp in some areas, but effectively dry. You're going to be running slick tires for this round.
This is essentially the best track conditions that any group has seen the entire weekend, which, considering there's still damp parts of the track, is saying a lot on how it was yesterday. Sorry for those who tuned in yesterday and was expecting a show. I guess racing's kind of weather-related on some level. I know there's going to be some NASCAR jokes out there, but you can't. the cars don't have rudders.
You can race in the rain. You can't race in the ocean unless
Right.
you're on a boat.
Yeah,
and,
racing through a lake's not going to work well.
No. There's a couple cars out here that are closer to boats than cars, but we do have a whole lot of race cars out here as well. So Tom O'Gorman, let's talk about him real quick. He's been sort of the topic of discussion as of late. His first round in GRIDLIFE Touring Cup in his own race car was back at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course last year. Was running on street tires, and the car was a little bit under-prepped, but now it's gone to Andy Smedgard, and it has been absolutely fantastic since he's upgraded and swapped to the K24 that's in that car. He's won 4 out of the last 5 races, and he's ready to rip today. Have a look at the weather. 78 degrees Fahrenheit, sunny. DJ, not a lot of green.
Somehow the track temp is lower than the air temp. That's an anomaly. There's a thermometer that's off, but it's not warm. It's not like Gingerman 3 weeks ago. And Kyle, the tricky thing that we should touch on with this racetrack is even though, as we see in the drone cam right here, most of it looks dry, especially right here. This looks really dry. But there's some weepy bits that will always keep the track wet. Always.
Yeah.
There will always be wet parts on the track just because the water seeps out of the ground.
So we're coming to the green flag here in just a minute. Pace car is off. GRIDLIFE Touring Cup race number 1 from Autobahn Country Club at GRIDLIFE Chicago in 2021. Finally time to go racing for the second time in its history. GLTC is green at Autobahn. Racing down towards turn 1, 3 wide. Emil Tab looks up the inside, backs out. Smedgard around the outside of O'Gorman. Double wide ASM cars out front. Behind him it's the winning Formula Camp. Still door to door. Big splash through the water for one driver in the background as they come out of turn 2. Now to turn 3 and onto the backstretch, DJ.
Yeah, it looks like we're clean. We have Aaron Lichty poking on Emil Tab. Those two are teammates. Those two are going to be hunting down the ASM camp. Jeremy Swenson in 5th place without teammates. I wonder how the teammates are going to come into play.
Tom O'Gorman leads now, heading towards the backside of the course. Turns 5, 6, and 7. Brian Heitkotter for the Chris Forsberg Racing Team is in the number 5. He's the black 370Z at the back of your shot. But right now it's O'Gorman, Smedgard, Emil Tab, and Aaron Lichty, the top 4. Right behind him, Jeremy Swenson, the number 30 purple Corvette on big old street tires, DJ, and it is really, really fast. It beat Tomo at Gingerman Race 4.
Right, he's not on the Yokohamas this time around. He's on some Nankang CR1s, giving those a shot. Obviously, he's also quick on those. So it's going to be tough for Eric Catil to find his way past Swenson because Jeremy Swenson in that big Corvette with the amount of torque that he has, it's going to be really quick down the straightaways.
Yeah, so O'Gorman leads down this 1,850-foot long back straightaway. You see Swenson pulling in on Aaron Lichty behind. It's Eric Catil. Then it's Heitkotter just behind. That 370Z is also very powerful. But look at Smedgard keeping touch with O'Gorman right now, about 2 car lengths back. Big jump over the curb through this last little chicane. It's a short shoot now to this turns 13, 14, and 15 complex, DJ, and a pretty short front straightaway as well.
Right, yeah, it's you kind of build speed leaving the back straight. You have a quick right, left, and then you just have a really, really quick right. It's like a double right onto the front straight. So even though it's a short front straight, you are carrying some speed. And the technical aspects.
Whoa, Swenson off, he got into the water, went way off course, mowing the lawn at the exit at turn number 2. He's going to get back on course, but that car is not going to steer very well. And again, there's a huge puddle of water at the exit as we see Justin Kelly have a look at Chatroop. He's going to muscle that car back on course, but there's a ton of water out there, DJ. These cars will not drive in the water on the tires.
But most importantly, he kept control of the car to the best of his ability and kept it on track. Ooh, side by side heading into turn 5. Who is that?
I think that's Kelly on Chatroop still. Oh, that's Upham on Chris Adams in the 187. Whoa, real tight. Oh, Adams on the curbing. Back and forth, he's going to gather it. What a save.
That was amazing.
Incredible by Chris Adams. He just saved 2 race cars from certain disaster. That was spectacular.
Yeah, that's driver of the day fan vote. We need to vote for Chris Adams there.
Joel Morrison smelling blood in the water, and Chris Adams is also feeling the pressure. But here's Chatroop. That's Morrison now right on the tailpipes, Justin Kelly. And behind him, that's Tiffany Kelly, his wife in the S2000. Big understeer there for her as she hits a little bit of a damp patch. But Morrison now on Chatroop side by side.
Yeah, Tiffany Kelly actually recently is a driver that participated in some Discovery Channel reality show. So we'll all be tuning into that, see how she did in that competition that they were doing.
Well, Eric Catil up to 5th after Swenson went off course. There's C. Morrison still behind Chatroop, but up front, O'Gorman is the quickest driver on the racetrack, but Smedgard is keeping him honest there as he's Scott Robertson now in front of Jeremy Swenson. But I've been really, really impressed with Smedgard's ability to keep up with Tomo right now. Tom is not safe just yet, and we have a long way to go. We're only 3 minutes into this race.
I mean, Tom's running fast up front, but Aaron Lichty is the fastest driver on that last lap, so it'll be interesting to see if it turns into a 4-car race toward the end of the race. You know, the ASM camp got a little bit of a gap right in the beginning, but here we see Aaron Lichty getting close to the bumper of Andy Smedgaard.
I was watching Scott Robertson in his NB Mazda Miata go through a splash at the exit of turn 2. Look at this. Here is Justin Lee, the number 33. Chris Adams getting right back on the horse after that big moment a little while ago. Looks a little slow here as we've got that white BMW coming up on driver's left. I don't actually know who's in that car this week. That's a new entrant this time around. And
they're making a diamond into turn 4. There was 2 wide, and they were bumper to bumper.
There's Dustin Barty defending from Chris Adams now on the backside of the course here. As Chris Adams, again, with that massive save a lap ago, he is not phased. Right back up to pace here, attacking the back of that 8th gen Honda Civic.
Where's Upham though? Has he already left him?
He is up the road a little bit, as I understand. Adams dropped down to 18th place. As Adams now on the inside, big moment at the exit. Whoa, that was almost a fender touch there as they're on door to door into the chicane. Real tight on the backside of this racetrack, DJ. Slow corner speeds, but that nimble, lightweight Miata is going to be a rocket ship leaving.
Yeah, Upham must have had some issues in qualifying because I look at his pace compared to the people around him. He's 3 to 4 seconds a lap faster.
He was really quick in qualifying. Ended up dropping down as the slick tires got better in qualifying. He was on wets, so by the end of the session he had fallen down.
Gotcha. Okay, that explains that. Good insight, Kyle.
No Luke McGrew, unfortunately. At least we haven't seen much of him yet. I think there he is right as we speak of the devil. He's working his way towards the top 15 after having the inability to qualify yesterday. Was chasing some electrical issues. Has that resolved now, but is charging from the back.
Yeah, I mean, those at that point you just you say, okay, we're gonna have a fun weekend. Obviously, the results aren't gonna be there, but man, I'm gonna pass a lot of cars, and it's gonna make a cool YouTube video.
Sure is. Tom O'Gorman out front still by about 10 car lengths over his teammate, but Aaron Lichty is running Smedgaard down, and actually, you can see Smedgaard closing back in on Tomo. So O'Gorman didn't get past at all at Gingerman Raceway last week, but right now he's got all sorts of pressure from the guy that built his motor right behind him.
Right, well, built most of his car, honestly. Oh, we have a slip up from Tom. He runs a little wide.
And Andy Smedgaard takes the lead, and here goes Aaron Lichty into second place. O'Gorman slow on the back straightaway. That's more than a slip up. I think he's got a problem. He's dropped way off the pace as the race leader's also slowing down a little bit.
Yeah, we don't see Tom at all.
Yeah, he's pulled off course. And O'Gorman, the driver who's won 4 of the last 5 races, is now off track and presumably finding an area. Now, we just hope that isn't an engine where he felt like there was fluid as you see him hitting pit lane. Or that wasn't him, was it?
If it was him, he's really fast because the leaders came through.
He did an entire lap. No, but that's unfortunate for Tomo. But Andy Smedgaard takes the lead. He's won a handful of races so far this season. But Aaron Lichty, he has not won a race since Circuit of the Americas back in February. He is very hungry and very fast. He's coming for the lead.
Yeah, Lichty looked great through turn 3, held a lot more speed than Andy Smedgaard into turn 4. Lichty's been kind of running in clean air, but Smedgaard's been on Tom's bumper, so it'll be curious to what Smedgaard's pace is. But again, when you're on the attack, it's a little easier than when you're on the defense mentally.
This is a classic mashup from last year. Remember that these two were the ones that were at the front all weekend in 2020. And it was Andy and Aaron that traded victories back and forth. Aaron won 3 and Andy won 1 of them. Now the roles are reversed and Lichty's going to have to pass Smedgaard. They had a little bit of a rub last year down in turn number 1. I'm sure Lichty is going to be ready to remember that, and they're going to run door to door here in a minute.
Yeah, if you fell into a coma for exactly a year, you'd find the same exact battle on stream, except now Andy Smedgaard has polished wheels and a different livery.
Yes. Aaron Lichty's car looks the same, but I promise you, Aaron is always improving that car. He's always getting faster as a driver, and again, he's the winningest driver in the series. Was runner-up in the championship points last year. Look at Emil Tab right behind, dealing with the hybrid racing EG of Eric Catil. That car has seen a whole bunch of change in the last 3 days. It's got all sorts of issues they've been working out, but that car got a K24 at the beginning of last season. It's seen some issues, but Eric Catil charging forward as the reigning champion of the series.
Yeah, Eric Catil started 6th, now he's 4th, and do we know where Brian Highcutter started? Because he's kind of snuck his way into 5th place.
He started inside the top 10, but he's lingering back there in that big 370Z. Has a lot of ground to make up, but he's running pretty good lap times. But the lead is tightening up. Oh, spin for Emil Tab at the exit at turn number 2. Whoa,
Highcutter coming through.
And Highcutter's going to take advantage. He's going to go through both of them, side by side down towards turn number 4. Was there a touch between Catil and Tab?
We kind of missed it, but I mean, it looks like there must have been a touch or heavily avoidance from somebody messing up. Did Eric's car look like it was crabbing a little bit?
It might be. He was wiggling the steering wheel back and forth, maybe trying to clear the fender if there was a touch. But I'm not quite sure. We'll have to get a closer look at that. There's Justin Kelly now into the mix, smelling blood in the water for these guys, kind of daggering at each other just a little bit.
Right. I mean, hopefully everything's okay between Eric and Emil's car. It seems like they're back up to pace, maybe a little shaken.
Yeah, that was a wild moment. The track conditions are not ideal for slick tires. They're still a little bit damp, so that corner in particular is very, very slippery. And if you're door to door, that could lead to some very sketchy moments. But they're back up to pace now as Kelly is all over Emil Tab to grab that position away. All this is happening behind a great battle for the lead with Smedgaard and Lichty up at the front.
Yeah, I'll touch on something I touched on in the beginning of the broadcast, which is the track might look dry, but there's water that literally seeps out of cracks and pours in the track. So it changes lap to lap, especially as the sun heats up the surface. It'll actually draw that water out of the track. So one lap, it might be completely fine there, probably side by side in turn one. And the next lap, there's water coming out of the track.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on those cars, so I think they might have gotten away with whatever was going on there. But Andy Smedgaard hanging on over Aaron Lichty. This is really impressive defense. I think Lichty's the faster car right now, but it's one thing to catch him, a whole other thing to pass him, DJ.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Aaron Lichty's he's a cool cucumber, and he deals well under pressure, and I mean, so far watching Andy Smedgaard, he's definitely dealing with the pressure very well.
Yeah, 10 minutes into this race, approximately 5 remaining here in GLTC this afternoon, or this morning, I should say. We'll have 2 more races to finish off the weekend. Now, this is technically acting as race number 1, so we will grid the second race of today by lap time. So that's a crucial factor specifically for Tom O'Gorman, because he's out of this race. He will finish poorly. However, if he can fix whatever the issue is, he's got about 3.5 hours to do that. He can start right back up front.
Yeah, that's crucial for Tom. I'm sure he's probably not thinking about that right at this moment.
No.
Oh, side by side.
Jake Price going by Justin Lee, and Price is taking a head of steam there with him. There's Gary Wimble in the NC Miata, then Jake Price, Justin Lee, a couple of BMWs fighting it out, and then behind them there's Zach Lovoy in that the S2000 with the yellow tinted headlights. That's another ASM car. Lovoy in only his second GLTC event, as you see him there, the red car.
Yes, I had the opportunity to hang out with Zach at Gingerman, and he's just he's real humble and kind, and he's exactly what GLTC we want, which is just people who want to have some fun racing.
And look at Jeremy Swenson up the inside of Chatroop. This has been an amazing recovery for Swenson. He was off track for about 3 corners earlier in the race. This is to get back into 11th. So if Swenson can do that, that would be a pretty decent recovery. And again, all about lap time. He's still got a couple seconds to get up where he probably wants to be. But it's not going to be a bad start for race 2 by any means.
No, yeah, it's not the end of the weekend for Jeremy Swenson. Right now, he's just recovering some points just from his little oopsie.
So watching Swenson through turn number 1 now, the big puddle of water that he hit earlier is on driver's left, and he's going to miss it this time through, but Chatroop is behind him now. Swenson up to 11th, has to chase down Austin Hurdle. Again, Swenson from Moorhead, Minnesota, driving that 2001 Chevy Corvette, big old thundering V8 underneath it. Way detuned, DJ, to get that big flat torque curve, and it's real fast leaving corners.
Yeah, leaving a corner, it's real fast. Toward the end of the straightaway, it tends to run out a little bit of legs, but we got a nice little gaggle here. Austin Hurdle, I believe that's Ryan Upham and Tiffany?
No, you're right. It is Tiffany Kelly in the S2000. So behind Upham, it's Tiffany Kelly. Austin Hurdle in the white, red, and gray 370Z. They're tightening up here on the backside of the course. Looks like Hurdle's a little quicker than Tiffany right now. She's struggling to get off the corner. You see the 370Z pulling in. The interesting thing is that Tiffany's car, while it's an S2000, it's powered by essentially a Honda Odyssey minivan V6 power plant. It's torquey just like that 370.
It is. Honestly, those engines are pretty similar.
And it looks like the 370, though, going to have a little bit more power on the back straightaway here into the hard braking zone for turn number 11. Way down to second gear. Tiffany defends very, very well. Slips, though. Austin Hurdle's going to go the long way around, try to cross her over on the run down to the last couple corners.
Now he needs to impede her corner entry into here and then roll more speed down the straightaway. He's going to get another chance if he left him some space to make a run out of this double right-hander.
Back onto the front straightaway. Tiffany hangs on for now. As we come by the start stand, any lap could be the last one, but Andy Smedgaard continues to lead and drive away from Aaron Lichty. Last time by a 1:32.067. That's the best lap anybody has run so far today.
That is fast. That has to be the fastest lap of the race. So we'll see Andy unless somebody else throws out a flyer, we'll see him starting from the front next race.
Checkered flag is out. I think that's over. So Andy Smedgaard, when he comes around, that's it. So Smedgaard wins race number 1. Aaron Lichty, Brian Heitkotter, podium for the number 5. That's a great run for him.
Yeah,
Eric Catil,
definitely.
4th. Emil Tab, 5th. After their scary moment, I'm sure they're happy this is over.
That was a ninja checkered flag, Kyle.
Yes, it was. It snuck underneath us, but Andy Smedgaard wins his first race since NCM, our event back in Bowling Green, Kentucky a couple months ago out of Plover, Wisconsin, in his 2017 Honda S2000. You'll note that they didn't make an S2000 in 2017. Well, that's the year the motor came out of, I believe, from his, or the year it was at least built, from my understanding. So
yeah.
That's where that car...
Is that why he
Yes.
put 2017?
That is why. It's not an error, I promise you.
No, not a typo.
Not a typo. Eddie Smedgaard wins. Aaron Lichty 2nd. Brian Heitkotter 3rd. Then Eric Catil, Emil Tab 4th and 5th. Then Justin Kelly, Joel Morrison, Upham up to 8th from 14th starting spot. Tiffany Kelly gets a top 10. So does Austin Hurdle. Swenson misses out. And unfortunately for Tom O'Gorman, we're going to have to take a look here and see where he officially finished. But from my understanding, he did not finish this race. But I'm curious where his lap time was. So just hang tight for 1 second. I'm going to pull up what his lap time was, and we can get an idea of where he will start if he can sort that car out. He finished 32nd, but if you sort by best lap, he is going to start race number 2 of the day in 5th, which is...
That'll be fun to watch.
That'll be fun to watch. Hopefully that car is repairable, but if there's anybody that can repair a car in 3.5 hours, even if it's something catastrophic, Andy Smedgaard is the guy to do it.
I feel like Andy could build a car in 3.5 hours.
He probably could build a fleet of cars in a half an hour.
Look, Eric Catil's the fastest person I've ever seen work on a car, and I've been informed by Tom that Andy's even faster, so that's impressive. If you guys have ever seen anybody who absolutely knows their way around a specific car, it's actually really impressive. They should do live streams, honestly. I would watch that.
It's pretty amazing. So 32 cars took the green. We had 42 on the entry list, 41. Jeremy Boysen didn't show this weekend. So we had 41 cars on the entry list, 32 race. So there was some attrition. Some drivers may be deciding not to go out. But here's a look at the start. This is spectacular. Great job by the stream team to get us a replay of the start of the race. Have a look at this. O'Gorman on the inside. Watch the big puddle of water. Who's the car that hits it?
We had 3 wide in the back.
Oh, it's Joel Morrison that hit that.
Yeah, that's why he hit it. They were 3 wide all the way through turn 1.
Yeah, and that was the scary moment for turn number 1, lap number 1, to have drivers in a foot of water at the exit.
Right.
Turn
So
2.
that puddle isn't actually on track. There is some water on track, but that puddle is right on the edge of the curbing.
Here's Jeremy Swenson's moment. We were watching this a little earlier in the day. He comes through turn number 1 here, and he's going to track out a little bit too far. Just gets out in the water and straight off. Your steering doesn't work, your brakes don't work. This is a scary moment.
Yeah, that left front just got into the damp track, and then once it dropped into the grass, I mean, honestly, amazing job.
This is driver of the year. Gets out on the curb, huge slide, tank slapper. The fact that he didn't take out his car and Upham's, that deserves a gold medal. That deserves a trophy in my book.
Yeah, I imagine Upham shaking his hand right now.
And this is the issue between Eric Catil and Emil Tab. Now, Eric Catil was fighting ABS issues. He just installed ABS. You saw the tire smoking there, so he had locked it down. So we're going to go back, talk to those drivers, see how that situation started.
Could have been fender rub too.
Could have been fender.
We'll see.
Yep, we'll talk to them and get you updated at the second race, which will be at about 12:40 this afternoon Central Time. Up next is going to be Grid Life Drift. We're going to step away after you hear from the partners and people that make this possible. Thanks so much for watching GLTC Race number 1 of the weekend. We'll see you this afternoon for race number 2. Grid Life Touring Cup is brought to you by FCP Euro. Every part you buy is guaranteed for life. By Falken Tire. Falken Tires, competition-proven performance. MOMO, the official safety partner of Grid Life. Hawk Brakes, race-proven, street-legal. And by Valvoline. Valvoline VR1, available at Advanced Auto Parts stores.
We've been powering the American road since before it was paved. Our first breakthrough in motor oil was introducing it. And we've been reinventing it ever since. From the world's first high-mileage oil to the world's first synthetic blend. There are those who change with the times, and those who drive them. Valvoline, the original motor oil.
The Falken Azenis RT660 is the enthusiast's choice for ultra-high performance. Engineered for predictable handling and stability, the RT660 provides maximum traction both on and off the track. Your competitive edge has arrived with the Falken Azenis RT660.
Hawk Performance packs 100 years of friction dynamics into every product. Backed by Carlisle Brake and Friction, the world's premier innovator of industrial brake and friction components, Hawk leverages R&D tools and motorsports experience to deliver uncompromising performance on the street. There's no reason to settle for less. Choose pads that are race-proven and street-legal. Find the Hawk Performance brake dealer near you at hawkperformance.com.
What's up, everybody? JR here from FCP Euro. Summer is the time for car shows, road trips, track days, and so much more. And the FCP Euro Summer Sale is here to help. Use the code HEATWAVE to get $10 off an order of $125 or more, $20 off an order of $250 or more, or $50 off an order of $500 or more. Head to coupons.fcpro.com to shop the sale, and thank you for your support.